tonight, I wanted to actually start with something a little different from the regular politics of what's going on. One of the things I've noticed is that climate change is kind of becoming a big deal. But it's one of those things that's not getting talked about much at all. And why is it not getting talked about? Maybe because we're all of a sudden accepting a all new normal. So let's go with talking about just what's going on in Louisiana. And why it's not being talked about in the media as much as it used to be. Why we've all of a sudden gotten... Now, I'm not sure if Louisiana is just a special case because it wasn't like a tornado or a huge flooding event that came from Katrina-style hurricane or something like that. And one of the things I heard tonight was one of the interviews with the governor. And just listen to this.
We're still in the response. We still have historic flooding going on in Ascension Parish, and we have floodwaters moving south into St. James Parish on the east side of the Mississippi River. On the west side of the Mississippi River, on the Mermentau, we have historic flooding that's going on there in Acadia Parish and down into Jefferson Davis Parish and Cameron Parish as well. So I'm happy to talk about the recovery, but I just want everyone in the country to know that even though the rain started a week ago, we are still very much in the search and rescue and the response mode as we speak.
So that's the governor saying that, this has been going on for over a week. And you would barely know it. I don't know about your local news, but our local news, it's kind of the G-level story. So you got your A block, your B block, your C block, your D block, your E block, and for the most part, in your first, before you even go to commercial, you're going to usually exhaust your A, B, C, and your D block. So you're talking that group of stories that comes after the first commercial. And you may have lost about an eighth to a third of your audience by that point, because most people really tune in, especially in the mornings, to hear the A block, the B block, and the C block. And then maybe even get a little of the D block before you go to commercial. And then for the most part, they're gone. So what happens is all of a sudden that nobody even notices it. And the scary part is this is climate change really showing itself for what it is. This was not something that even most of the meteorologists predicted to be as heavy as it was. This was not like a hurricane. This was not like something that everybody knew about and it was coming, get out. There was no, evacuate. There was actually stories, and I'm sorry I didn't pick those up because they were actually interviewing some people and they did actually get some of these stories out there. Of one lady who actually invited people from lower lying areas to come to her home and stay there. And she said she had a house full of people, basically. And they went to sleep at 3 a.m. with a dry house. When she got up 4 hours later, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the morning, they were flooded, literally up to their ankles, to the point of being right at the bed's edge. Think about that. You go to bed at 3 a.m, and 4 hours later, your entire house is engulfed. And a house that you invited people to because theirs were flooded. Now yours is flooded too. This is climate change. And this is something that as a world goes, we can do something about. I mean, Germany and other countries have actually gotten to the point of getting further and further from fossil fuels. There's Norwegian countries that are literally going to stop the sales of internal combustion engine cars. Think about that. All electric cars after, I think it's 2017, maybe 2020. So I have to look that one up again. But I know that it's soon. They're saying no more internal combustion engines. It's not needed. There is no need for it. And then, true, it's smaller countries where the range of an electric car is pretty much the entire size of the country. But in this becoming our new normal, with fires here in California and copious amounts of water that we could really use here in drought-stricken California, there's something that John Bel Edwards said. He's the governor of Louisiana, and that you kind of forget about.
It's an unnamed storm. This is not a hurricane. It was not a tropical storm, but it broke all the records nonetheless. But I don't feel forgotten by the federal government. I will tell you, the media has not paid proper attention, and that the media attention doesn't help me to respond and help the people of Louisiana. But where we may be lacking is, without awareness around the country, the American Red Cross, for example, probably isn't receiving the donations, the contributions that it should, so that it can invest those dollars in Louisiana, helping our people. And so I want to encourage you and the folks that are watching to try to promote the story from that angle. But we have what we need from the federal government.
So basically he's saying FEMA's come in, and they have been there. The FEMA's been there and started to look around, but because it's been so underreported between the Olympics and, what blows my mind is every news organization I watched today, and that was CNN, that was MSNBC, that was Fox, that was my local stations, which was not just Channel 7 for me, ABC, but Fox 2, the local Fox, and our local KRON, which is a local station. Do you know what the A block tended to be? If it wasn't in the A block, it was the B block. The Olympic swimmers who lied in Rio. Think about that. The first story was not about our fires here in California, although a few of them did. A few of them did make that the A block. But like I said, the A or B block was them lying in Rio. Just think about that. If our media is not broken and that doesn't prove it, what does? Because you're not talking about flooding here in the United States. No. You're not talking about fires here in California. No. You're talking about idiots in Rio in their 30s, the oldest one, doing stupid crap when they're drunk and then lying about it. That's what the A and B block was. So think about when he's saying this.
It's an unnamed storm. This is not a hurricane. It was not a tropical storm, but it broke all.
But he's saying in there is because it wasn't a hurricane, because it was a week's worth of rain that was just relentless and heavy. They didn't get what they needed. They didn't get the reporting. They didn't get the people to come in until way late.
Well, first of all, the president is welcome anytime he wants to come. I do want you to know, and your viewers to know, Rachel, that within hours of me making a request for a federal declaration, I got it from the president. He called me. I want you to know that I've been speaking to Valerie Jarrett just about every day. He dispatched the FEMA administrator to meet with me for an entire day. Today, I had the Homeland Security Secretary, Jay Johnson. We've also had the four-star general who runs all of the guard for the country here today as well.
So basically, FEMA's there. And when we get back, I want to talk about one of the Louisiana, as we wrap up this A block and go into the B, and just a little bit more about Louisiana and what this has meant for Louisiana, too. One of the newspapers there, the local Advocate, called The Advocate, kind of excoriated the president for not going straight there. And I was like, you're a newspaper, you should know better than to say the president needs to be there right now. Or obviously you don't know what it means to bring in the president, because it really hampers your law enforcement, your transportation, your airports. And I just couldn't get over a news organization doing that. And I don't get why they were doing it, but even the governor said, maybe that's not a great idea. He basically was saying, we don't need him here, but we'll get into that after the break. Just think about why we're going through this. I mean, it's ridiculous that we are not the pioneers of 100% green renewable. No, we've got countries like Germany and Netherlands and others that are doing it before us, just before us. And that just kind of is crazy to me, that we are not first. We should be first, not somebody else. But we're not. Please help support our station by going to amazon.tmmsradio.com. Bookmark that page and use it for shopping regularly. We get a portion of the proceeds. Or go to our front page at www.tmmsradio.com and click on the Amazon book. Thanks a lot. Tune in weekdays for Feast of Fun at 6 a.m., Citizen Radio at 8 a.m., Best of the Left at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m., The Bob and Ches Show, presented by Bubble Genius at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., The Bradcast at 12 noon and 4 p.m., The Majority Report at 1 o'clock p.m., The Slate Political Gabfest at 2 p.m., Democracy Now! At 8 p.m. and 11 p.m., David Pakman at 9 p.m., Main Street is Talking at 10 p.m. Saying, one of the local papers there just kind of excoriated the president for not dropping everything at Martha's Vineyard and running off to Louisiana. And I thought, why are they doing that? The last thing you really want after an emergency like that is the one person who can't do anything more than send FEMA in. And John Bel Edwards is saying, hey, we have FEMA. And this is what he had to say about the president.
In all honesty, if he's going to visit, I would just as soon it be a week or 10 days, 14 days from now, because the vice president was here about 3 weeks ago to go to memorial service for the victims of the police officers who were killed here. And I will tell you, it is a major ordeal. They free up the interstate for them. We have to take hundreds of local first responders, police officers, sheriff's deputies, and state troopers to provide security for that type of visit. I would just as soon have those people engaged in the response rather than trying to secure the president. So I'd ask him to wait, if he would, another couple of weeks, but he's certainly welcome to visit anytime he wants to.
No, that just makes sense. I mean, that's what you want. You don't want the president coming in because guess what, guys? When the president comes in, you shut down a lot of crap. And I know this full well because working and living in San Francisco, where every president comes to fundraise, and they always stay in downtown. And the last 2 times it was actually literally 3 blocks from where I worked. That ain't fun because they close down everything around you. You can get some foot traffic through in certain areas. You can't get to a certain restaurant you might want to go. It's a pain in the butt. And that's in a major city without any problems. So think about shutting down the freeway, bringing half your staff that's actually working to help people and put them into a place to deal with the president coming in. It just kind of blew my mind that a newspaper, a journalistic organization, did not think it through enough to go, maybe he shouldn't come in right now. He should wait until all this is just like he did with Jersey and all that, until, it was a time that he could come in. And it made more sense when you're not still, what's the first thing he said?
We're still in the response. We still have historic flooding going on in Ascension Parish, and we have floodwaters moving south into St. James Parish on the east side of the Mississippi River. On the west side of the Mississippi River, on the Mermentau, we have historic flooding that's going on there in Acadia Parish and down into Jefferson Davis Parish and Cameron Parish as well. So I'm happy to talk about the recovery, but I just want everyone in the country to know that even though the rain started a week ago, we are still very much in the search and rescue and the response mode as we speak.
Literally, there were reporters that when they finally did get to that C and D block and show the reporters now basically in dry land in certain areas, that you could have a reporter literally a parish away, another city away. So basically, go from where I live in Oakland, go to in San Leandro, go over to Oakland, and imagine that's still flooding. Or actually, for me, it would be going south. So if you want to go south, go from San Leandro into San Lorenzo, and be amazed that that's flooded, because everything's heading south, as the water does, as it goes down and away. And it didn't just affect Louisiana. That's the thing about storms. It doesn't affect just one area. But imagine a week's worth of this continuously. So it's something we need to think about. We've got to get to a point, and that's why I'm hoping that we can actually clear out Congress, to get a Congress in that we can do some of the things Hillary talks about with putting green energy in the way we need it, where we actually do every home, and make sure that every home has the energy that it needs. Now, what that's going to mean is doing a major fight against the now all but monopolized energy companies that you now pay ridiculous amounts of money to, and that we have to redo a grid, because our grid now needs to go two ways. It doesn't need to just come into your home, it needs to go out, so that during the day when you're out and you're at work, your home is actually generating for the company. And the company at night doesn't need it, so it's back in your home, that your battery pack is going to last all night, and that kind of thing. And we'll get to that point too. But I just, I want to just think about that as we get back into the next story, which is a little bit more about, yes, Mr. Trump. But not so much him as who he surrounded himself by when he did this change. Because every organization I can find, Cook Report, 548, all of these different models that show Mr. Trump losing, and I mean losing by the not so much by the popular vote. Some of those are only by 1%. Well, we don't elect presidents by popular vote. We don't. We still have an electoral college that's left over from the horse and buggy days. We still vote on Tuesday, still left over from the horse and buggy and the stupidity of those days. Why we have not changed that, I don't know. It's another thing that maybe Miss Clinton could work on when she becomes Madam President. So we'll see. But that means we have to clear out Congress. We have to get back the Senate and the House. Because they'll block everything. They want to still maintain that monopoly. But quickly, I just want to get into this.
He has said that she doesn't have the strength or the stamina for a very long time. That part is nothing new. What's new are the other reports of the observations of Hillary Clinton's behavior and mannerisms, specifically with what you just showed in those previous clips, as well as her dysphagia.
What? Okay. That's Katrina Pearson, who every time she's on a show makes up some bullshit or just lies or is so ineptly stupid that she actually says things that don't make any sense, like that the person that got killed in 2004 when Bush was president is Obama's fault. But I think there's a reason that even though they've replaced the top people, you'll still have people like Miss Pearson and her lies. Because her lies tend to follow the new man who's the quote-unquote, and I've never heard of anything like this in a campaign, the CEO of the campaign. Not the campaign manager or the campaign chief, but the CEO, which is a business term. When we get back, we'll finish off what the new man, who is the CEO, means for the new Drumpf organization. And it's not that great. Weekdays for Feast of Fun at 6 a.m. Citizen Radio at 8 a.m. Best of the Left at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. The Bob and Jez Show, presented by Bubble Genius at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. The Bradcast at 12 noon and 4 p.m. The Majority Report at 1 o'clock p.m. The Slate Political Gabfest at 2 p.m. Democracy Now! At 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. David Pakman at 9 p.m. Main Street is Talking at 10 p.m. Thank you for listening to TMMSradio.com. You can help support us by going to patreon.com/TMMS Radio. You can either give a $1 or a monthly contribution. It all helps us stay on the air. Thanks, and thanks for one more time. Just think about it.
He has said that she doesn't have the strength or the stamina for a very long time.
No, that's true. And that's nothing new. You've had politicians doing this to other politicians. Trump has basically spewed the BS that little old lady Hillary can't handle it. No, and you wonder why he's doing so poorly with women and blacks and Hispanics, and because there's a lot of pollsters who are saying he would have been better off if he had just, after he won and finished his horrible speech at the convention, just ran off and ran his business for a while. He would probably be in better straits now than where he is, because he's losing it. But he brought in somebody that's kind of interesting.
The mysterious figure who now has the title of CEO of the Trump campaign, Stephen Bannon, might be very happy with what Katrina Pearson said today, since he has a long record of peddling similar and much worse lies at Breitbart News and on his radio show.
Now, I don't expect very many of you to know a whole lot about Breitbart, but if you're a conservative, you've probably been there or Drudge. Excuse me, sorry. Drudge and Breitbart basically are, along with Fox, not Rush as much anymore. I mean, he's still there. But they are the center of the stories that come out from the conservative end. And Breitbart's been one of them that's done so many things that are just wrong. I mean, O'Keefe, who killed Eggcorn with a lie, was part of the Breitbart people. They are known for editing video over and over that takes everything out of context and makes it into something completely like Shirley Sherrod. She was actually talking about, how she got into her job and how her family being in sharecropping, and they just took something she said and turned it into as if she was hating on white people. Not that it doesn't happen. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But this is a federal employee running a federal agency that they did this to. That she had to resign. She had to resign. That it pisses me off. But now here is the man that is now running the campaign for Drumpf.
The anonymous defiant deity said, "I celebrated with some alcohol when Zimmerman was found not guilty, and I celebrate every time one of these mongoloids are shot by cops." Another racist comment said, "They know that white people are superior. They whine about it all the time and want to kill us because of it. They know they come from jungle savages and will never be equal to us, so they destroy everything we create."
Okay. Now, understand I've heard that probably about 5 or 6 times because I have to see the show, I have to record the show, I have to pull the show, I have to cut the pieces out of it. And every time I hear it, I still go, what the fuck? Yes, this is Bannon, the new CEO of the Drumpf campaign. These are quotes from him.
The anonymous defiant deity said, "I celebrated with some alcohol when Zimmerman was found not guilty, and I celebrate every time one of these mongoloids are shot by cops." Another racist comment said, "They know that white people are superior. They whine about it all the time and want to kill us because of it. They know they come from jungle savages and will never be equal to us, so they destroy everything we create."
This man used to be one of the Wall Street guys. Think about that. He used to be one of the people that was handling everybody's money, the rich folks' money. This is his thought pattern. Now, we already know Drumpf has a problem with most people, of any ethnicity. And this is the man he's put in place. So, again, I ask you, is this man really running for president? I think he's running to put together the new media company to fight or to become the new challenger against Fox. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And Kellyanne, the new Trump's new manager, I guess, we'll be talking more about her because she's at least she's somewhat sane, and that's kind of hard to say about anybody in Trump's campaign, but we'll talk to you tomorrow and see where we go from here. You have one.